Hi. In this episode of Partnering with Parents, I want to talk to you about discipling your children. There's a TV program that I used to watch, and it was called The Restaurant Inspector. A very famous and successful restaurateur by the name of Fernando Pierre went and visited various restaurants in England to give expert advice to restaurant owners, focusing upon restaurant owners who were failing to run a successful restaurant. And he would help them to revive it and make it a successful business. And I can summarize his expert advice that he gave to these restaurant owners in 4 simple words. He repeatedly said to each of them, do the basics well. That's great advice in life, and particularly when it comes to being a parent who wants to do more than just develop your child's abilities and gifts, but wants to disciple your children in the ways of Christ. And my words of wisdom come from that program. I would strongly suggest know the basics of Christianity and do them well, so that your children can see in you and in the way you live the basics of Christianity being clearly demonstrated before their very eyes and clearly explained. Yes, do the basics well. Now, I consider that the first letter written by the Apostle John to churches that were really struggling gives one of the clearest explanations of what the basics of Christianity are, and he strongly urges in his letter that these are what should be done well. They should be lived out for all to see. And I would say especially for you as parents in front of your children. John even summarizes the contents of his letter, what he's been saying about the basics of Christianity, in chapter 5, verses 1 to 5, where he writes, everyone who believes that Jesus is the Christ is born of God, and everyone who loves the Father loves his children as well. This is how we know that we love the children of God, by loving God and carrying out his commandments. This is love for God, to obey his commands, and his commands are not burdensome, for everyone born of God overcomes the world. And this is the victory that has overcome the world, even our faith. Who is it that overcomes the world? Only he who believes that Jesus is the Son of God. So he makes a circular series of statements that each part defines and describes an authentic Christian, someone who is born of God, someone who is a true child of God. And he's saying these are the basics, and if you are a Christian, you will be doing them well. You'll be living this type of life. And today I just simply want to concentrate on the first basic, and then in episodes to come concentrate on some of the others each week in each episode. So today I am urging you to do the basic well that he states in verse 1, to believe that Jesus is the Christ. And he later says in verse 5, coming back to that statement, to believe that Jesus is the Son of God. And he's using the Son of God there as a description of being the Christ, the one who has been anointed and appointed by God to rule over us as the Messiah. And this is what a Christian parent should be showing and telling their children as to what is an important quality to be a true Christian. And you must be demonstrating as a parent that you are an individual who believes that Jesus is really the Christ. Your kids must see and hear that you believe this is the true Son of God. And they have to see that that's real for you. They will see and hear that this is not just a statement or empty words or a nice platitude, but that you as a parent truly believe it, and He shapes the Christ, the way you think, the way you feel, decide, and what you do with your life. So if you believe that Jesus is the Christ, sent by God to not only save you, but to lead you as your King, as your Messiah, then children must see that in the way you live and operate and behave as a parent, as someone who is living under the authority of Jesus as your Lord. But if you are not living that way, if you are not living at home as someone who is under the authority of Jesus, being led by Jesus as your King, then you can't expect your children to believe it. They will see that you don't believe it because it doesn't shape the way you live. It doesn't influence who you are or what choices you make or how you respond to daily situations. So you just can't expect them to believe it if you don't show that you believe that. And what is important here in terms of capturing what John is saying is them seeing the depth of your confidence in Jesus, the depth of your commitment to Jesus as the God-sent Savior of the world. And when they see the depth of that commitment rather than the breadth of your knowledge, that's a far more powerful impact upon them than any kids' church lesson or Sunday sermon. It's not how much of the Bible you know that really will impact your kids, but how much of what you do believe actually shapes who you are and what you do, and shapes you so much that you're doing it well, that you are someone who really does believe that He has the whole world in His hand, that He will accomplish all that He has promised to do, that He is the one that God has given all authority and power to change and transform the world and your own life. When kids see that as being very real for you, then that's far more convincing to them and will have a greater impact upon them, even persuading them to do the same. They will see that Christ is a powerful presence and influence upon your life. And that's basic to discipling anyone. That's a fundamental, necessary thing. I've attended lots of conferences, I've read lots of books, I've listened to lots of speakers, international and local. And after hearing all that, what wisdom can I impart to you as parents? I would say do the basics well. Be a real believer, a true believer in Jesus. Someone who shows that you are committed to Christ and His cause in this world. Yeah, do the basics well. Well, I hope that's helpful, and I'm going to be away for the next few weeks, so you can go to the church's YouTube channel just to catch up on some of the older episodes. But when I come back, Lord willing, we'll look at some of the other basics of being a Christian parent, which are fundamental and vital for discipling your children.